Hey friends, Wayne over here at the Ram Man Inc. Don't forget the Inc. World famous Mopar and Ford brake specialist, lock and hub guru, and the rest goes on and on. What we are looking here is 2 sets of hubs of our new style with the option. What you are looking here is you're looking at Temkin, modern Temkin 8-bolt hubs. Carpenter Brothers up there in Long Island, they're getting 2 of them. They're getting locking hubs for their 2019 2500 and another one. Looks like they're getting them with Warren lockers in the top of the line throughout. So, what makes these different? Some of you may have not even picked up on it. What makes these different is, so most of you understand that ABS wire, right? And the bolt goes down. So, you say to yourself, well, what in the hell is that custom brass fitting right there? Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's so that you can attach a lubrication hose to this fitting with like some mechanics wire, and you can put it on there so tight it has basically become semi-permanent. So that goes on, and it's really tight. So that goes on, and since you don't have hardly any space, you run this right along with the ABS wire, which is right here, so your dust shield's right here. You run it right there, and you notice the knuckle, it's pretty tight around here. The rotor hat sits way back. It's pretty tight except right here in the middle. That's why that knuckle on them Dodge trucks has that valley cast into it for the ABS wire. Not a lot of clearance. So, you get to run this simple little flexible thing right along the ABS wire. It leads up by the shock, and you can secure this with a couple. So you're leaving this on the truck. This is permanent remote greasing. Maybe I never got to that. Oh shit! I always forget stuff. Here it is, Friday, January 21st. God, I miss you. It's been a year and 2 days. So this is the first ever remote greasing unit bearing hubs. People have been asking me for 5 years. Usually takes me about 5 years to get a belly full that I do something. Took them 5 years to convince me to do it. D100 disc brake kit for the old Dodge pickups, and it was one of the best, funnest, and best financial decisions I've ever made my entire life. We ship a shitload. Anyway, back to this. Don't want to bore you. So as you can see here, this attaches up and you bolt it up. Like I said, there's your ABS wire right there mounted. This runs right along with it. I use electrical tape. I run it on up. I've got about 2 feet. I run it on up and I just use a little electrical tape. Now, let me tell you something. There is not much space in these Temkin hubs. If you pop one apart, the cases are so tight on those big rollers. There's just not a lot of room for grease. You'll be surprised. That's why these Temkin hubs, they come already bolt on and shit. You know, you see 100 G's with no problems whatsoever. I mean, Temkin hubs just don't go bad, especially when you've stopped all the motion with the lock and hub kit. But anyway, back to this. So, I want you to understand so that you can grease your hubs anytime you feel like it. Now, I send one of these special fittings along. You get your little kit, you get your 2 pieces of hose. You know how I am about covering all the bases. You get your 2 little zip ties. No, I don't give you no electrical tape. If you ain't got that, if you ain't got a roll of electrical tape, you probably shouldn't be doing what you're thinking about doing. And yes, I send some mechanics wire too, so you can just snip it off. Some of y'all met safety wire, mechanics wire. So you can bend this about 15, 20 times before it'll ever cleave. And you know, this shit right here, you make you the best hose clamp you ever did in the whole wide world. You can tense this sumbitch down so tight you can shear a nipple off a grown man. No, I did not make that up. You can get that sumbitch so tight. But you got my point. So we'll put this wire on here, and I'll send it with one of these needle fittings that's been modified. I've shaved the end off of it so we get the flow. Now, these smaller grease guns work a lot better because you can just get up there by the tire now, and I'm going to tell you, these things don't take a lot of grease. You know, you've all seen this little Chinese gun or whatever. Like, you can get this gun in 3 tubes for Harbor Freight or somewhere, you know, for less than $15. I mean, with everything. Are you with me? And this is easier to use. Plus, the volume's not as much as a big grease gun. So it's more applicable to this because this is not a high flow type deal, and they don't require much. The cases are really, really small. There's a little bit of room for the tone wheel, but you got to remember the gap. Most people don't know this kind of shit either. Well, Mopar uses these Hall sensors. I won't go into that too much or whatever, but it's super. It's pretty smart. It's a 2-wire deal and ground to the chassis. That's a ground. That's why that thing's brass, and they got an IC chip. Anyway, the gap on there is usually only about, they tell you, about 6 to 11 thousandths. So the gap between there and your tone wheel is supposed to be about 10 thousandths. That's all. So that ain't very much. That's 3 sheets of paper. Anyway, I don't mean to bore you, but I want to get it all across and not anybody have no trouble. If you were to get a half of one of these little tubes in, if you were to get a half, that's a lot. That is a lot. But anyway, I'll just show you how this would work. These old boys, I'm sure they won't mind. I'm going to use their hubs to show you that, hey, yes, this thing does go through, like that stupid old man asked me. It does go through. It ain't for looks. Because we'll watch the damn grease come oozing out of this thing. I got to make sure you guys can see it. Huh? Yeah. And I picked this tube after trying 4 or 5 different ones. It's very slick inside, so it allows the grease to travel very well. Watch. Even a long distance. Grease at room temperature isn't really designed to be transported a long distance by any method, especially a manual type method. But as you can see, it's normal high temp wheel bearing grease is cruising right on down that tube. Look at it. Right on down that tube. It's getting down there to the fitting, so I'm putting some grease in there. I'm slowing it down a little bit. I'm slowing it down now a little bit because I'm going through the fitting. Watch, gang. I had a couple people tell me I was photoshopping this shit. Ignorant old man. Watch out of the top of your hub. Do you see it pouring out? I think you see it pouring out. No, it does not have a leak. Remember, our ABS wire goes in there. But I had to prove my point. So, Carpenter Brothers, your 2 hub kits just got extra grease. And I appreciate you allowing me to show the world, as far as I know, of one-piece unit bearing hubs. A lot of people don't know that Timken is the ones that conceived this idea and got the patent on it. Of course, many people consider Timken the #1 bearing in the world. Anyway, so there we go. There was our nice, see there? I can't even get the damn tube off. I told you. So, I'll get it off in a minute. So, God bless you. God bless America. and enjoy your remote greasing hubs. Oh, I forgot. I think we charge like $99 to add on remote greasing. So you can grease them at any time without taking a single thing off the truck. I don't know if you guys realize that. So you're not taking anything off. You're just going out there with the grease gun, finding the end of your little tube and going. That's all there is to it. God bless you. God bless America. And happy trucking. Bye.